Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Wednesday is Wild Card Wednesday, but we've been using some of our Wild Card Wednesday slots to get people up to speed on the Pauper format thanks to events coming at GPs starting, I think, this weekend or next weekend, whenever the first GP in January is. I'll have to double check the schedule, but starting soon. And this week, we're going to look at a deck that at one point was the monster of the Pauper format. This used to be the best deck. There was actually a time when I did play a little bit of Pauper somewhat competitively, and this is one of the decks I use, and it was really, really strong. Now it's just another good deck. I don't think it's the number one deck in the format. We're talking about Mono Black Control, Mono Black Devotion, if you want to consider it that. This one comes to us from New HG, who took it to a 5-0 finish in a competitive Pauper League on Magic Online, although it's worth pointing out, this is a very known deck. Like I said, this used to be the best deck in the format, so it's not really like New HG created this deck, more that they just are the latest person to put up a finish with it. Anyway, a quick reminder before we break down Mono Black Control for Pauper. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Mono Black Control, as its name suggests, is basically this hybrid control/devotion deck looking to play good value creatures with lots of black mana symbols and then finish off the game with a big devotion finisher in Grey Merchant of Asphodel, along with just playing tons of good removal, card draw to cycle through your deck, kill your opponent's stuff. So starting off, we have a couple of removal-y creatures, Kumbaj Witches and Crypt Rats. So Kumbaj Witches, upside is it's got 2 black mana symbols. It's kind of this weird black pinger, so it's kind of like a Prodigal Sorcerer or something, except you get to choose a target and your opponent gets to choose a target. So be warned, if you have out your Crypt Rats, for example, your opponent can kill your Crypt Rats with your own Kumbaj Witches if you activate it. It is a good blocker in the early game as a 1-3, and it's surprisingly relevant in the format. If you look at some of the popular threats in the format of Pauper, we have things like Spellstutter Sprite, we have Fairy Miscreants, we got Delver of Secrets, we got Quirion Rangers, we got Gorilla Shamans. Those are all creatures among the 10 most played in the format, and Kumbaj Witches just shoots down any of those without any trouble. And if you play it on turn 2 and it's your only creature, your opponent pinging your Kumbaj Witches likely isn't going to do very much. Crypt Rats, on the other hand, takes advantage of the fact that we have tons of black mana. It can be a finisher by itself. If we get a bunch of mana, we just drain both players for a lot. We gain back life with Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Also just sweeps away a board full of tokens, or even just a hard Wrath, really, if it sits on the battlefield. So a very powerful creature as a removal spell. Then we have a bunch of card advantage generating creatures. So Chittering Rats doesn't really generate us card advantage, but it is card disadvantage for our opponent. When it comes into play, our opponent has to put a card from their hand on top of their deck, which is a lot of times worse than actually drawing a card, because you're hoping when you discard your worst card that you're going to draw something sweet the next turn, but if you got to put a card on top of your deck, you don't have that option. You know you're drawing that useless land again. Your hand isn't changing the next turn. So very powerful, especially if you can chain them together for a couple turns. It really keeps your opponent from advancing their hand. On the other side, we have Phyrexian Rager and Thorn of the Black Rose, a new addition from the treasure chest on Magic Online that generate card advantage for us. Rager enters the battlefield, gives us a 2/2 body, puts black mana symbols on the battlefield, and draws us a card. Thorn of the Black Rose, a little bit more expensive at 4 mana, but having Death Touch is nice. It takes down Gurmag Anglers and some of the big ground threats in the format. And then it makes us a Monarch, so we're drawing a card on our end step. If we can keep from taking damage from our opponent's creatures, that just keeps going, and we have our own personal end step Howling Mind, which can be very, very powerful if we can keep it going. And because we have tons of blockers, we have tons of removal, it's very possible that we can just stay in the Monarch for several turns in a row and generate a huge amount of card advantage, enough to maybe win us the game. Then we have our big finisher, Grey Merchant of Asphodel. So Grey Merchant of Asphodel sometimes shows up in Modern, was a staple in Standard. When it enters a battlefield, you drain equal to your devotion to black. So in our deck, we have the double black Witches on our 2-drop slot. We have double black Chittering Rats in our 3-drop slot. We have a 4-drop in Thorn of the Black Rose that has a black mana symbol symbol. So we're not going crazy with Gray Merchant. It's not like we're going to drain for 20, but we're going to drain for 5, we're going to drain for 7, we're going to drain for 8 or 9, somewhere in that range, which means as we're drawing all these cards, killing all our opponent's stuff, 2 or 3 Gray Merchants is probably going to close out the game, maybe less if we can get in some random rat damage and Phyrexian Rager damage. Plus, we can always use our Crypt Rats as a way to get in even more direct damage to close out the game. So Gray Merchant kind of closes things off, plus it gains us a bunch of life to keep our life total high. We even have a couple of enchantments that help up our devotion to black. Oblat is basically a black version of Oblivion Ring, essentially. Very weird, very old, very expensive in paper, unfortunately, but it basically just works like an Oblivion Ring. You get to exile a creature when it enters the battlefield until it leaves the battlefield. Pestilence adds a couple more black mana symbols, lets us ping away small creatures, so if we're worried about a board full of Battle Screech tokens, other flyers, things like that, go wide decks that can get around our targeted removal, having a 1 of Pestilence is a way we can just kind of deal with those type of issues, while also adding more black mana symbols to the battlefield that are a little harder to deal with than creatures to pump up our Gray Merchant of Asphodel. Removal-wise, we got a few different options. Disfigure for the early game, killing Delvers, killing Ninja the Deep Hours, killing Nettle Sentinels, all that kind of early game beatdown stuff. Chainer's Edict gets rid of bigger creatures. A Flashback is nice. You can cast it on turn 2, and know in the late game, once you get a bunch of mana on the battlefield, you always have this Edict sitting in your graveyard that you can use again. And then Tendrils of Corruption, even more life gain, helps us with the Crypt Rats, drain our opponent out plan. If we can gain enough life from Tendrils, from Gray Merchant, we can just spend all of our mana, and even though we're losing the same amount of life as our opponent with Crypt Rats, it doesn't really matter because we gain so much life over the course of the game. Also have 4 copies of Sign in Blood. It's just a card advantage engine to keep us cycling through our deck, finding our Gray Merchants, finding our removal, whatever we need to beat our opponent. Mana base wise, 1 Pajuka Bog for graveyards, 4 Barren Moors, lets us just cycle if we don't happen to need a land, while also being a black source, 18 Swamps. In the sideboard, we have an infinite amount of discard, 4 Duresses, 4 Distresses, so if we want to attack our opponent's hand, we can bring in up to 8 discard spells, which is, I think, the most out of any deck in the Pauper format, and just go hardcore, pick apart your hand, protect our threats, ride them to victory. More Oblets for removal. Crypt Rats, again, a great sweeper, even better in matchups if our opponent's playing a bunch of little creatures, where if we're at like 4 or 5 mana, we can cast it and just immediately activate it to shoot down a bunch of Battle Screech tokens. Relic of Progenitus for graveyards. More Thorn of the Black Rose as a card advantage engine for controlling matchups, and that is Mono Black Control or Mono Black Devotion, whatever you want to call it, for Pauper. And that's our instant deck tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.